Welcome to our summary of William Shakespeare's Edward III. It's the first of his history plays, and it's sometimes suspected that it was a collaboration with others, but it is now normally included in Shakespeare's canon. It's a fascinating play bridging the patriotism of Henry V with the dynastic concerns of the Henry IV plays. Edward III, Act 1, Scene 1, The English Court. The play opens with Edward III receiving news of Scottish incursions. He resolves to deal with the Scots swiftly, then focuses on France. Warwick and Artois, a French exile loyal to Edward, inform him of the French crown's questionable inheritance, suggesting Edward has a claim through his mother, Isabella of France. Edward listens, torn between prudence and ambition. Is it not strange that in the latter time of Edward's reign no man shall talk of war, but straight they cry he must be king of France? For this plants the seed of his future campaign. Scene 2, Roxburgh Castle in Scotland. The Countess of Salisbury holds out against Scottish siege. The English forces under Warwick arrive, relieving her. Edward soon joins them, defeating the Scots and restoring the castle. Here Edward encounters the Countess, and Shakespeare presents one of the play's most striking dramatic turns. The king falls in love with her, despite her being married and loyal to his vassal. Edward marvels at her virtue. She is a pearl whose price no man could pay. Scene 3, The Countess's chamber. Edward attempts to woo the Countess. She resists firmly, reminding him of his duty to his queen and country. Let not thy baser nature reign in thee, but let thy will be king, and rule thy thought. Well, Edward is torn between lust and honour. Act 1 Summary. Edward defeats the Scots and meets the Countess of Salisbury. He becomes infatuated, threatening his honour and reign. The idea of claiming France is introduced. Act 3, Scene 1, Roxburgh Castle. Edward continues his advances towards the Countess. He tries flattery and promises, but she stands steadfast. My lips are no common port to every man. When Edward presses, she cleverly demands he kill her husband as proof of love, knowing he will recoil. Edward realizes his shame. Am I not king? And must I now be subject to a woman's will? Yet he acknowledges her virtue defeats him. Scene 2, The English Court. Edward returns to England, confessing to himself that lust nearly unseated his crown. He channels his passions into conquest abroad. Since I have banished love and banished shame, I'll be king and claim my heritage. The focus now turns towards France. Scene 3, London. Parliament debates war. Edward declares his intention to claim the French throne, stressing divine right. God to his glory, England for her right, France for revenge of wronged Isabella. Nobles pledge support. Act 2 Summary. Edward resists temptation, recovering his honour. His thwarted passion turns into martial energy, and he commits fully to his claim on France. Act 3. Scene 1, Normandy in France. Edward lands in Normandy with his forces. The invasion is depicted as both righteous and devastating. Like to a hungry lion did he rush upon the flock of silly timorous sheep. Civilians lament the cruelty of war, but Edward presses on. Scene 2. The French Court. King John of France, not to be confused with Shakespeare's King John, prepares to resist. He doubts Edward's strength, but hears of the English victory spreading across Normandy. He vows, France is no coward land, we'll rise ourselves and drive these English dogs into the sea. Scene 3. The Siege of Calais. Edward besieges Calais. The citizens suffer hunger and privation. In a poignant passage, a citizen describes their plight. Our meat is stones, our drink is bitter tears. Calais becomes a symbol of endurance in the war. Now, Scene 4. The French battlefield. Prince Edward, the Black Prince, takes command of his first great battle. He fights valiantly, but is hard-pressed. Messengers urge Edward III to send reinforcements. Warwick delivers the king's response. Rescue? Aye, with English courage. He shall not find a hand of mine to help him. God and his arm shall give him victory. This is Shakespeare's echo of Henry V. The king allows his son to win his own honour, and the Black Prince triumph. Act 3 Summary. Edward wages brutal war in France. Calais suffers under siege. Prince Edward wins glory establishing his martial reputation. Act 4, Scene 1. The French Court. The French king mourns losses, but refuses to yield. He calls on allies, including the Scots, to harry England. Yet the tide of war favours Edward. Scene 2. Before Calais. The citizens of Calais beg mercy. Edward at first demands their execution, but Queen Philippa intercedes. Let not my womb be made a grave to kill the fruit that is unborn. Her plea softens him. He pardons the citizens, demonstrating mercy. Scene 3. The English camp. Edward praises his son's valour. He is the substance of my settled love, my first begotten and my only joy. The bond between father and son is central to the play's martial effort. Scene 4. The Black Prince's triumph. Prince Edward humbly acknowledges God's role in victory. It is not in me, father, to subdue, but God that made me strong hath struck the blow. The English court celebrates. Act 4 Summary. Edward's campaign succeeds. Calais falls, but mercy tempers severity. The Black Prince's humility and valour are exalted. Act 5, Scene 1. France. The French king sues for peace. Edward asserts his claim boldly. This is our right, none dare deny our claim, and we will keep it, God assisting us. The French are forced to acknowledge him. Scene 2. The English court. Edward returns in triumph. He celebrates both conquest and restraint of lost earlier in the play. The Countess of Salisbury episode is never revisited, but its shadow lingers. It showed the danger of misrule and the necessity of channeling passion into just causes. Edward closes with a prayer for England's future. God armeth princes with victorious swords, that justice might in all things be their guide. Act 5 Summary. Edward secures peace, uniting honour, mercy and conquest. His son emerges as the heroic heir. The themes of lust versus honour and ambition versus justice converge in triumph. The play blends themes of lust, honour, patriotism and divine right. Act 1, Edward defeats the Scots, falls for the Countess of Salisbury, and is tested morally. In Act 2, he overcomes temptation, turning passion towards claiming France. In Act 3, the French War begins. Calais suffers. Prince Edward proves his valour. Act 4, Edward tempers conquest with mercy, and the Black Prince is exalted. By Act 5, peace is secured. Edward embodies both kingly power and restraint. This play explores themes of lust versus honour. The Countess, let not thy baser nature reign in thee, but let thy will be king. Or Edward, she is a pearl whose price no man could pay. Explores war and patriotism. Edward says, God for his glory, England for her right, France for revenge of wronged Isabella. Father and son relationship. Warwick to Prince Edward. Rescue? Aye, with English courage. Prince Edward. It is not in me, father, to subdue, but God that made me strong hath struck the blow. It explores mercy and victory as a virtue. Queen Philippa. Let not my womb be made a grave to kill the fruit that is unborn. Edward III is one of the lesser known Shakespearean history plays. But please join us next week, like and subscribe, and we'll be back with Richard II, one of his better known plays.